The Queen misses the traditional Christmas church service at Sandringham as she continues to recover from a heavy cold. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, along with Prince George and Princess Charlotte, spent Christmas with the Middletons in Berkshire. Also today, President Putin declares tomorrow a national day of mourning after a Russian military plane heading for Syria crashes. All 92 people on board were killed, including 60 members of the Red Army Choir. The Pope reaches out to victims of terror during his annual Christmas address at the Vatican. It's festive football for the troops abroad as they recreate a Christmas match played during the First World War. And not just for Christmas, Sky News visits the UK's first zoo dedicated to abandoned exotic pets. Good afternoon and a very happy Christmas. The Queen has not attended a church service at Sandringham as she's continuing to recover from a heavy cold. On Wednesday, both the Queen and Prince Philip were forced to delay their departure to Norfolk by a day because of those colds. It's the first time in almost 30 years that the monarch has missed the service. Our royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills has the latest now from Sandringham.
I think there was a sense of disappointment within the crowds, but it wouldn't have been an easy decision for the Queen to make. She knows that this is a very public engagement every Christmas morning, that people flock here to see her. And I think also her faith is very important to her from a personal point of view, but also as the head of the Church of England. But the palace did confirm that she wouldn't be attending this morning, saying that she continues to recover from a heavy cold and will stay indoors to assist with her recovery. Her Majesty will participate in the royal family Christmas celebrations during the day. And being here at Sandringham is really important for the royal family. It's really part of their calendar, and that's why we saw the rest of the family arriving at St Mary Magdalene Church this morning. They were led by Prince Charles and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall. The rest of the Queen's children also there, and some of her grandchildren as well. And then later on we also saw Prince Philip arrive in a car with his daughter-in-law Sophie, the Countess of Wessex. Of course, he also, we found out earlier in the week, was suffering from a heavy cold as well. But I think for the Queen, obviously time to put her feet up and rest is very important at the moment. And this is what some of the crowds had to say to me earlier.
It's sad, isn't it? But it's understandable. If she's not very well, she's not very well. You can't help it, can you?
And it's been a busy year for her, turning 90 as well.
I can't believe she's still doing it at 90. I don't think anyone else could do it at 90, run a country. I think she's doing amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's very sad, isn't it? But if she's not very well, that's the best thing for her, really, isn't it?
She must stay indoors.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, we will see the Queen this afternoon at 3 o'clock. The annual Christmas message will be broadcast. It's recorded a couple of weeks before Christmas Day, and this year we're told that the theme is inspiration. Some people may find that a little bit surprising. After all, 2016 has been rather a tumultuous year in some ways, but it's not surprising to see her stay away from anything that has a whiff of politics about it. Instead, she's going to talk about how inspiring people, for example, like the Olympic and Paralympic athletes have been, both here in the UK and across the Commonwealth. She'll also praise the charities that she has worked alongside over the years, saying that really it is ordinary people doing extraordinary things that continue to really inspire her. And I think people will be hoping that she gets well over the next few days.
Well, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge aren't spending their Christmas at Sandringham. Instead, they are spending it with the Middletons in Bucklebury in Berkshire. This morning, William and Kate took their children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, to a church service in nearby Englefield. They were joined by Kate's parents, Michael and Carol, as well as her siblings, Pippa and James. And just to remind you, you can, of course, watch the Queen's Christmas message right here on Sky News this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We'll also be replaying it at 4:30, 5:30 and 6:30 if you can't catch it at 3. To other news, and all 92 people on board a Russian military plane which crashed into the Black Sea are believed to have died, according to Russia's defense ministry. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared tomorrow a national day of mourning. The aircraft, which was carrying members of a Russian military choir and a number of journalists, came down just minutes after taking off from Sochi. It was en route to Syria. Sky's Lisa Holland can tell us more.
A search operation is underway for a military aircraft which went off the radar just minutes into its flight. Ships, helicopters and drones were sent to look for the transporter plane, which was on its way to Syria, but which the Russian authorities were quick to say had not been shot down. Rescuers scour the Black Sea, but there was little hope of finding alive any of the 92 people on board. Instead, bringing ashore bodies and debris retrieved just a short distance from land.
Now at a distance of 1.5 kilometers off the Sochi coast at 70 meters deep, parts of the aircraft body have been discovered. The search operation continues. 4 vessels and 5 helicopters are currently operating in the plane search area, as well as drones. Reinforcement has been dispatched to the area.
Most of those on board were members of the renowned Russian military choir, the Alexandrov Ensemble. They were scheduled to perform a New Year's concert at a Russian airbase in the Syrian province of Latakia. Also on board was philanthropist Yelizaveta Glinka. Seen here with Russian President Vladimir Putin, she won widespread acclaim for her charity work. She was accompanying a shipment of aid. Pictures were also released of some of the 9 journalists travelling on the plane. They worked for Russian state television and are also now missing. The Tu-154 aircraft belonging to the Defence Ministry was a workhorse of the Russian military. It has been involved in a number of fatal accidents previously attributed to poor weather conditions. This crash happened in good weather, with the authorities indicating technical or human error may be to blame. Tributes are now being paid to those who lost their lives at the highest level of government, with several days of national mourning expected.
I want to express my deepest condolences to families of our citizens who died in a plane crash in the Black Sea today. The administration was ordered to create a committee headed by the Minister of Transport. There will be a detailed investigation of the cause of the crash, and we will do everything to support families of the dead.
With the plane on its way to Syria, condolences have been paid by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who said he was saddened by the crash. Russian forces have played a key role in securing a recent victory over rebels in Aleppo, with the Latakia concert expected to have been a centrepiece of celebrations. Lisa Holland, Sky News.
Lots of Christmas messages today, and the Pope has delivered his at the Vatican. He called for an end to the fighting in Syria, where he said far too much blood had been spilled during the conflict. Pope Francis also hoped for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, and offered his thoughts to victims of the Berlin lorry attack, in which 12 people died. Security was also tight as thousands of people gathered for midnight mass in Bethlehem. Pilgrims and tourists travel to the town each year to celebrate the birth of Christ. A World War II bomb has forced a mass Christmas evacuation in Augsburg in Germany. Authorities have evacuated more than 54,000 people from their homes, while the giant 1.8-ton bomb is being defused. Augsburg officials have kept some schools open for evacuees who cannot stay with family or friends. And these are pictures from Bashika near Mosul in Iraq, where Christians have been celebrating Mass. It's the first time the town has celebrated since its church reopened in November, after 2 years under the so-called Islamic State's control. It's thought there are just under 500,000 Christians in Iraq. To Australia, where large crowds gathered at Sydney's Bondi Beach, with people spending Christmas Day swimming, sunbathing and surfing, and saving lives as well. While most of us spend Christmas Day morning unwrapping presents and popping open the Bucks Fizz, hardy swimmers here have taken part in their annual 100-yard race. I bet it feels like longer. Serpentine Swimming Club members braved the icy cold Hyde Park Lake to take part in the Peter Pan Cup. Swimmers from the group competing every year since 1864. Well, as part of his Christmas service at the Vatican, Pope Francis called for an end to the fighting in Syria. Speaking from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the Pope said far too much blood had been spilled during the conflict and urged the international community to work together to find a solution.
Pace agli uomini e alle donne della martoriata Siria.
Peace to men and women in the war-torn land of Syria, where far too much blood has been spilled. Above all in the city of Aleppo, site of the most awful battles in recent weeks. It is most urgent that assistance and support be guaranteed for that exhausted population there, and with respect to humanitarian law. It is time for the weapons to be stilled forever, and for the international community to actively seek a negotiated solution so that civil coexistence can be restored in that country.
Pace alle donne.
Peace to women and men of the beloved Holy Land, the land chosen and favoured by God. May Israelis and Palestinians have the courage and determination to write a new page of history where hate and revenge give way to the will to build together a future of mutual understanding and harmony.
Possano ritrovare unità e concordia l'Iraq, la Libia, lo Yemen.
May Iraq, Libya and Yemen, where their people suffer war and the brutality of terrorism, be able once again to find unity and concord.
Well, let's speak to Josephine Siedlecka, the founder and editor of Independent Catholic News, who joins me now via Skype from North London. Thank you very much for joining us, and Merry Christmas, Josephine, as well.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Let's talk a bit about what the Pope said in his speech. We heard a bit of it there. It was, as we'd expect, all about urging peace and calm in several and most of the war zones across the world. Is it usual for the Pope to do it? Is it more of a departure to focus more on conflict in the world this year for those people who may not have heard him speak in previous years?
No, I had a quick check, and in fact, this is what the sort of thing he talks about each year. Basically, this message, the Pope gives this message at Easter and at Christmas, and it's addressing the whole world, but I suppose it's particularly the Catholic world. He usually takes Catholic or Christian teaching and then translates it into what does that mean in the modern world. So what he's saying is that God is love. The power of God is love. The power of this world is not based on might and wealth. It's love. And then he goes through and talks about all the different countries. I mean, you've mentioned Syria, of course, Syria, Iraq, Israel, Palestine. He's also run right through, he names all the countries in Africa where there's conflict. He talks about Eastern Ukraine, he talks about Colombia, he talks about Venezuela, he talks about the Korean Peninsula. Then he also goes on and talks about people who are rich, the rich minority who are sort of dominating the poor. He talks about exiles, migrants, refugees. He covers the whole gamut in a very short space of time, in about 1,000 words. It's amazing.
And Josephine, is he talking to the people, or is this more of a message for those heads of states in those places? And how much resonance does his message have when perhaps the Catholic Church is, and himself is not as revered as it used to be? Can
you hold on a minute? There's something just clicking here.
Of course. Okay, Josephine, I think it possibly something on your computer screen there, but thanks for joining us. We'll try and get back to her. This is pictures of the Pope, of course, at St. Peter's Basilica when he delivered that speech to a large crowd in Vatican Square. And as Josephine was saying there, lots and lots of mentions of many war zones across the world and urging peace and refugee status for those people in Syria and in Aleppo in particular. We'll try and talk a bit more about that over the course of the afternoon. Now, UK servicemen and women deployed abroad have sent messages to their families and friends wishing them a happy Christmas. Thousands of troops, of course, are working across the world this Christmas to help keep Britain safe at home and abroad.
Merry Christmas to all my friends and family. Happy Hanukkah to all my friends and family. And a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to all our family and friends from ComATG.
I'd like to wish everyone back in the UK a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas! I'd just like to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all my friends and family back in the UK. I'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas to my two beautiful children, Frankie and Buddy. This will be Buddy's first Christmas. He's only 3 months old by then. So wishing you both a very, very lovely Christmas. Love you lots, and I'll see you in January.
I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, RNRFC. Merry Christmas!
From all the stewards on HMS Portland, we would like to wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
A Merry Christmas from him.
Still plenty more to come here on Sky News.
Over the festive period, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Sky News will be with you 24 hours a day with all the biggest stories.
So, during the festive season,
we'll make sure you're up to date with all the biggest stories. On TV, online, and on our mobile app.
Have a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year from everyone at Sky News.
Now, it's often said at this time of year a dog is for life, not just for Christmas, but the same is true for more exotic pets as well, which can find themselves unwanted and abandoned after the festive period. Adele Robinson reports.
Saffron and Caper, meerkats, 18 months old, unwanted.
These two meerkats were brought into us a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, they were being kept in a rabbit hutch.
This is possibly Britain's first dedicated zoo for abandoned exotic pets.
In here we have Rudolph, a spectacled caiman, a type of crocodile you'd find originally in South America, originally being kept in a flat.
Rudolph, crocodile, 3 years old, illegal pet. Ark Wildlife Park in Lincolnshire opened in response to a huge demand in unwanted exotic pets.
Unfortunately, people find that in a few years' time they've got a 5-foot lizard on their hands they really can't cope with.
And Snot, green iguana, 2 years old, dumped on the street.
They are very friendly and they love a cuddle.
80% of the animals here were abandoned or unwanted. Many arrive a few months after Christmas when owners decide they can't cope with their new gift.
Things like raccoons, which you can't really get anymore due to the invasive species law, can be quite expensive, but there are some exotic animals, things like bearded dragons and corn snakes. They're going for literally a few pounds these days, which is just encouraging the impulse buy. They're almost like a disposable commodity these days.
A lot of pet shops as well are doing, you get a free bearded dragon if you buy all the tank and things for it. I've seen that as quite a common thing as well, and that's just asking for trouble.
And when it comes to exotic pets here in Britain, it is mostly reptiles. Figures given to Sky News from the RSPCA show that in the past 6 years, the number of calls they received regarding reptiles has risen from 5,925 in 2010 to 8,593 in 2016, an increase of 45%.
People keep too many in a vivarium when they're younger, and they end up biting each other's feet off.
The number being abandoned has also risen in recent years. This centre in Brighton's had to expand to cope with the influx, with others opening up around the country.
It's beginning to be a problem with people overbreeding them, and obviously because they live so long, it's not like a hamster where you have it for 2 years and then it passes away, but you know, they're 20 years, corn snake, so it's a big commitment really to have it for the rest of its life.
When things go wrong, it can also become pricey. Specialised vet bills can run into the thousands.
The problem with exotic pets is that their needs are so specific and can be expensive. Meerkats, for example, sell for between £300 and £500, but they need large enclosures, live food, infrared lamps and indoor heating. And for many people, they simply don't realise what they're taking on.
Neither the RSPCA nor this zoo are against people owning exotic pets, but they advise rigorous research. After all, an exotic pet isn't just for Christmas. Adele Robinson, Sky News.
OK, let's get all the Christmas Day sports here on Sky News and check in with the Sky Sports studios.
Brought to you by Vitality for your health and life insurance.
Jurgen Klopp says he's enjoying the challenges at Liverpool and aims to build on a strong first full calendar year at the club, one which saw them reach the Europa League final. He's been talking to Sky's Jamie Redknapp.
Has it lived up to the expectations? It's much better, actually. I had to think a second about what I expected when I came here, but I didn't think too much about it. It was not, so it all was really quick between first call and decision making and being here, and it's quite out of nowhere. So I was really on holiday and then bum, start again and then start the Premier League. So what is the absolute opposite of holiday, I would say. And so I had not the biggest expectations, but I always was really interested in the Premier League. And being involved now, it's great, it's intense, but great. And being at Liverpool shows again, I'm really a lucky guy.
Sam Allardyce says he's not worried about returning to management after his experience with England. He's convinced he can keep Crystal Palace in the Premier League.
If I didn't feel right, I wouldn't have taken the position. I've upset the missus again because we're supposed to be going to Dubai, so that tells you I'm right. So I should have been going for New Year, and she's, you know, as always, supported me in taking this job. They'll still be going. I'll be here working away, trying to turn Palace round as quick as I can.
2017 is set to be a busy year for British and Irish Lions head coach Warren Gatland. He's preparing for the summer tour of his native New Zealand, where the Lions are looking for just their second ever series win.
I took a lot of heart from the autumn in terms of the performances and the results, and I think the Northern Hemisphere teams would probably feel they're in a pretty good place at the moment, in a good position. It's probably the best they've done for as long as I can remember in terms of performances and results over the Southern Hemisphere.
And if you don't fancy turkey this Christmas, how about some beef?
Hey! Straight out the window, too much loft. 4! It's a bit sticky. Christmas pudding's good. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you have a great Christmas. Enjoy your turkey, but have some beef too. Jingle, jingle.
News Sports Bulletins, brought to you by Vitality, for your health and life insurance.
Okay, time now for the weather.
A tranquil air rests over Doha as the sun shines bright above Miami.
Well, we were told it was going to be a bit warm. It is very mild, but it will stay cloudy and windy for most, with a few drizzly outbreaks and some heavy showery rain spreading from the northwest. That rain will be over much of Scotland, Northern Ireland and Ireland by the middle of this afternoon, extending into northern England and northwest Wales by the evening. There will be more scattered blustery showers that will spread into northwestern parts later, bringing some snow to the Scottish mountains. The approaching storm Connor will bring severe gales to the far north, and central and southern Britain will stay more or less dry. Showery outbreaks spreading to most parts for a time tonight. They'll become largely confined to Scotland by Boxing Day morning. They'll bring snow to quite low levels there. The winds in the far north will strengthen further. A disruptive 90 miles an hour are possible, but it'll be quite chilly under the clear skies. And looking ahead to Monday, plenty of sunshine, cooler with further blustery showers for Scotland, but damaging winds in the far north.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Still ahead here on Sky News.
Sky News at 10 brings you comprehensive coverage of the day's events.
It wasn't an accident, it was the middle of the market.
We break down the big stories and how they affect you. With special reports on key issues affecting our world.
Thousands still need to escape Aleppo.
And of course, the press preview looks ahead to tomorrow's papers with a spectrum of formidable guests.
And this is just a huge political story.
Sky News every night at 10.